Hello and welcome back to video number 3 of our 3-part series on elimination communication and early potty training. So in the last video, if you got to tune in to number 2, you might have noticed I was talking about my son when he was smaller. I had actually recorded that video a while back, and so I thought that would be helpful to share when I was sort of in it during those phases, because now my son's he's like 20 or 21 months, and we've stopped using diapers at 15 months. We've been doing early potty training since the beginning of this year, and so I thought that last video was helpful for you to understand and hear sort of while I was in that phase of what I was doing with my baby. So we had started around 2 weeks old, and we went until 15 months using EC. We were using all of the things we talked about in the last video, paying attention to his cues, his natural timing, my own instincts, my husband's instincts, anybody who was watching him, their instincts, their ability to read his cues, and also just doing those easy transition times whenever we were going to be coming out of a car seat or a high chair or something that was sort of confining him. Babies tend to, or a carrier, right? So babies tend to not want to go when they're in those spaces. They want to be a little bit more free. So when we were coming out of those spaces or any diaper change, really, we were putting him on the potty, seeing if we were able to catch anything and if we were communicating about what he was doing during that time. And so we're going to jump forward today to early potty training for 12 to 24 months. And that's, again, sort of where we're at in our house. We stopped using diapers when we were 15 months old, and have been doing a really great job ever since. And so I'll share with you my personal ups and downs, and then again some of the research and ideas that aren't presented in our mainstream society, right? It's the diaper companies and this idea of readiness, right? We've waited and put it in our child's hand to see when they are ready, when in fact a lot of this effort is when we are ready. When do we have the time to really put in and the patience to teach them where to put their pee and poop? Because essentially, we've been training them this whole time to go in their diaper. If we haven't been communicating with them about what they are doing as they're going to the bathroom, or essentially where it goes, where it needs to be going instead of in their diaper, then they're just starting to get those cues from us that this is where it's supposed to go. We might even be talking to our babies and toddlers while they're pooping, because we can see that they are going, and we might say, "Are you pooping?" And if they are verbal at that point, they might say yes. They might have their cues when they hide behind furniture or in a corner somewhere. They like their privacy. So we know what's happening, but we're just missing that piece of where to put it instead of in the diaper. It's interesting because we communicate with our babies and toddlers about literally everything. And it's even more interesting that we start to do it with their bodies too. We're communicating about what's going on with their bodies when they're touching something soft or bumpy, when they hear something loud, when they taste food, when they smell, when something is near or far, the colors, right? We're giving them language about everything. And as they get older, we're also sort of replacing and teaching new skills so that they can act in more appropriate ways. For example, we have a big dog. My son knows he can give him big pats because he's a big dog. But if he sees a little dog, I have to remind him to be soft and gentle. So we're teaching our children these behaviors about what to do as they get older all the time. And so it's just really interesting that this essential piece of being a human and putting your waste in the right receptacle is sort of skipped over as this developmental phase in which we put it all in our children's hand, and we're sort of taking a back seat when we're really teaching them everything along the way. And there's no time that's too early to get started, right? So it's never too early to start communication with your baby or toddler about what's going on in their bodies. We're teaching them to feel and trust their instincts. We're giving them, again, verbal communications or signs or sounds about what's happening and having them learn their own cues. Like, oh, I feel this pressure. This means I have to go to the bathroom. And then they can start to communicate that with you as well. I was just talking to a friend yesterday who also practiced EC. So don't get me wrong, we're about 6 months in to, well, 5 full months, January, February, March, April, May. We haven't been using a diaper starting at 15 months. And I have to say that we have accidents. We have them all the time, but he's still learning. And I was just saying to my friend that I'm just really happy that the accidents that we're having are mostly pee. Callan, we really got on his poops cues, and I think he really likes to go into the bathroom too, into the potty. He doesn't like the feeling of pooping in his diaper or having it against his skin. And so I'm really happy to be cleaning up accidents rather than changing diapers all the time. It's just, it's a personal preference, of course, and something that fits into our life. And we're going to talk about a lot of the obstacles today too, and like how could you vision this actually happening for your child and your family. But for me, cleaning up accidents maybe a couple times a week as he's learning. We have these regression phases. Sometimes it's a little bit more, sometimes it's less. But I'm, again, just really thankful to be cleaning up accidents and communicating about them rather than teaching him to go in his diaper and changing those diapers all the time. So we're going to walk through now sort of like the how to get started really with early potty training. So we were 15 months old when we really took the dive of not using diapers anymore. And ways I got ready, I cleared my schedule for almost a whole week. This sort of method too is in one of the reference books, Diaper Free or Go Diaper Free by Andrea Olson. And then a second book is called Tiny Potty. It's also by Andrea Olson. And so all of these steps are really nicely laid out there. So this is sort of just a brief overview, and this is what we did. We had no pants at home. I cleared my schedule, no distractions, no cell phones, no visitors, no outings. It's really like a lockdown. So I prepared food in advance, or we got takeout. I, again, made sure that nobody was going to be popping by, and I had different activities planned for the day too. I had these bigger sort of pee pads on the floor in areas that we were going to be playing, and I had our small potty right nearby. So every time that he was going to go, let's skip to the next one. Every time that he was going to go, I moved him to the potty in the act of going while staying as calm as possible, right? And this is hard because we're used to just sort of like jumping into action, like, oh, we don't want an accident. And I'm totally guilty of doing that even now, or especially now that we've sort of been in it for a while. So an accident isn't too common. And so when it happens, it's like you jump and want to act right away. But just staying as calm as possible and being in a really clear, neutral voice that pee goes in the potty, poop goes in the potty. Every time pee goes in the potty, pee always goes in the potty. So we're just really reinforcing where it goes and where they can put it. And remind yourself that it can be cleaned. If you need to, I even put things on my couches for the first couple of weeks, just so that in case he jumped up there and I wasn't with him, there wasn't going to be a big mess on the couch. Roll up your carpets if you can, if you have area rugs and you don't want those to get a mess. Just trying to be in spaces that are easily cleaned will really help you out too, because it can get stressful to have to be cleaning all the time. We were using cloth diapers, which also saved us money. And so I kind of swapped out cleaning cloth diapers for cleaning towels because we were having to clean up accidents as they were happening anyway. But that's just, again, what we were doing in our house. And so on days 6 and 7, then you start to transition because they're going to have to wear clothes, right? They're going to have to wear clothes out in the world. Pants on at home. You start to learn their cues again. They might be doing a little dance or still using those transition times. What else? Your intuition, your instincts, or your baby's timing. Like, oh, it hasn't gone in a little while. Or I know some families actually want to include more fluids while they're going through this process, so there is more opportunity for them to be peeing. This could go one way or the other. You might miss a really big one, or you might catch a really big one, so that they're going more often so that you have more time to reinforce that this is where it goes. But again, just staying as calm as possible. This is a time in their life where we don't want to include any shame about pottying, and we want to make it a positive experience. For us, we didn't use any type of reward. It was just like, yes, you did it. You put your pee in the potty. There was no M&Ms or external reinforcement. It was just that fact that you did this. This is where it goes. We have a pretty open door policy in the bathroom in our house, so he's always seen us when we're going. He even claps for us sometimes when we go. And so it's just that. I know sometimes it's like that exchange for doing something you're supposed to be doing can be a little confusing. And then eventually that exchange goes away because we don't all get M&Ms every single time we go to the potty. I wish. So on day 6 and 7 of the first week, you can do short outings. And these are, again, really planned and intentional. This is a whole week long process. One obstacle, of course, is not being able to take time off of work. I hope that this is something that with support from family, from friends, that it can happen, maybe over a long weekend, or somebody who is available to do this, because it takes time. It really does. And the earlier we start, it sort of doesn't matter how much time it's going to take. If you start when they're older, it might take the same amount of time. It might take more or less. So starting later doesn't always mean that it's going to happen quicker either. So for the short outings, I would always put like a waterproof pad, something that I used to change him on when he was a baby, in my car seat. I know they make ones that actually fit into the car seat so that they're safe. So definitely find that out for your car seat and what you're comfortable with. But I would fold up, it was basically an absorbent towel right under his bum. And I would put that in the car seat just in case, but we would always go to the bathroom before we left and then upon arriving home. So these outings are like 10, 15 minutes to the corner store. You could take your stroller. It doesn't have to be in the car. You could go for a walk. Just coming and returning and using the bathroom so that they can see that you trust them, you have the confidence in them, and they start to feel that confidence as well. So again, signs and signals, signs and sounds to teach them to communicate when going or needing to go. So if your child is still not talking or is starting to talk but isn't maybe as clear, we can say things like pee-pee. My son really liked the sign poop, so he started using that for both pee and poop. So anytime he did that, it was like, okay, we're going to the bathroom. I don't know what we're going to catch, but hopefully it's one of the other. And then as we move into week 2, we're keeping outings brief once again. We're visiting the potty upon arrival and or departure. So if you're going to the grocery store, you can show him or her where the bathrooms are in the places that you're going. So this was really big when we started doing this, is just making sure that we're like this, there's a bathroom here and people use the bathroom here too. You can always go to the bathroom. If that's not possible, I always had a potty seat in my car. So we would do it in the car as well. It's just a really great way of teaching them where to put it instead of getting used to going in the diaper. So we are never stopping this continuation of noticing their cues, the transition times, the natural timing, your own intuition. I can't tell you how many times I wished I listened to myself and my instincts, because I was like, oh, I knew he was going to go. And maybe it was like just a miss by like minutes or seconds. And you start to sense that. I don't know what it is, but listen to yourself when you're in this process, because you're likely right. There's definitely going to be resistance at times, but bringing things like books and toys, we did a lot of that in the beginning. That's sort of phased away. I mean, sometimes he's not really interested if I can see he's doing a pee-pee dance and he's playing. He's not really interested in going to the bathroom, so we sing a song. We say, run, run, run to the potty, put your pees and poops in the potty. So we do that. We sort of shuffle along, and because he's walking, well, he's been running since 14 months, really. I sort of try to get him to walk independently so that I'm not just picking him up and bringing him there, so that we're starting to move towards those steps of independence. But bringing a book, bring a toy, bring something that makes the transition easy. We, again, just want it to be as positive as possible and not pressured. But when they are giving you signs, and when you know, and they want to tell you these things too. And so once it is a positive experience, they are more likely to share with you that they have to go. All right. So like I was just saying, teaching independence, showing them how to back up and sit. So I would do it with a doll. I did it with myself on his little potty. My husband did it. Whoever was watching him would stand in front of the little potty, go back, 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 and sit. And we would show him that's how to do it. And so he would do this even sometimes with clothes on, just to practice. Some of those sounds like, oh no, you have to take your pants off if you're actually going to go though. But he would practice sitting and squatting. That's a really great exercise for his legs too, to strengthen if you have an early walker or a young walker. And we're now in the stage more so of helping him to manipulate his clothing. So pushing his pants down, right? We might say pull your pants down. That's sort of like the language that I feel like we use, but telling them to push makes more sense in their body, because that's what they're actually doing. So we're actually in this phase right now of having him become more independent, of pushing his pants down, and we're teaching him. I'm asking him to do it each time. Sometimes he doesn't want to, so I'm still helping. And that's the thing, I'm going to be helping for forever. And if I wasn't helping with this, I would have been helping with changing his diaper. So one way or the other, we're involved, and we're communicating about that. So helping him push his pants down, we can use dolls as models. We can show him how you do it on the bathroom. There's so many ways that we can teach and incorporate fun things, play really, into skill building. And that's what we know, how children learn the best is through play and doing it throughout their day, throughout their routines, right? They play kitchen, they play dolls, they play cars, they play what's around them, and they're observing what's happening in their real world. And that's more likely to trickle into their play. And that's where they learn how to do it. Okay, so I'm sure whoever's watching this is saying, my child goes to daycare. How am I supposed to do this? There's no way I can do this because my child goes to daycare. And so this is really challenging. So not that long ago, daycares actually did take some responsibility over potty training, or even led the process completely. But again, today's wait till they're ready message and these really large diaper sizes have given daycares the opportunity to sort of shake off this responsibility. I may now even ask parents to keep their children in pull-ups while they work on potty training. And so if you're in a center-based daycare or a home-based daycare, it might not matter. Each provider's own experiences and prejudices about the process will have an effect on their willingness to assist you. And so you might believe that your 20-month-old is capable of potty training, but your daycare provider might not think so. And so they probably have a policy. And so if you're watching this early, or late, but if you're watching this early, asking before you even choose your daycare, right? As your interview process, what's your potty training policy? Because you might not be thinking about that when your baby's an infant. You might want to start this process at 12 months old, and this isn't something that you might be thinking of at the time. And so just learning their policy, talking about it up front, having good communication between you and your daycare provider is going to be huge. Really asking if the policy is in the agreement that you sign, and if there's space to have conversations about that and what you're thinking about your plan when you're ready to potty train your child. And so we can figure out or find out the classroom that your child's in, asking if there's a potty available in or near the classroom, and just doing your research around that. And so the law, you're going to find things in different areas. You can check your local, state, or county's regulations regarding childcare facilities by doing a quick Google search. But the law doesn't say that your child needs to be in diapers or pull-ups or even underwear to attend daycare. So any policies to this effect will be those of the individual daycare home. So it's not like against the law to send your child without diapers. But of course, you want to be on the same page with your child care provider for your child's success in this stage. And so it's the daycare is responsible to maintain a clean and safe facility for all. And so they might feel that having your child in diapers is going to minimize the risk of other children being in contact with these bodily fluids. So other ways to keep the spaces clean are having floor surfaces that are easy to clean, just like I was talking about in your own home. You want to create the space, and so when you have lots of children, hopefully that is the case, that surfaces are easy to clean. Paying special attention to the potty training child for the first week or two. Initiating frequent potty breaks, right? Like every hour at least, or whenever the teachers usually change diapers, having that be the potty time. Asking the parents to provide lots and lots of changes of clothes, and allowing the child to use cloth training pants if that's working well for the child at home. Personally, we go commando. We do have tiny undies. We haven't really been consistent with them, but he's not wearing anything under his pants because it's much easier for us to move through that phase. And as he's still learning to manipulate his clothing, we're going commando. So it works for us that way. So ensuring the smooth transition, again, just talking to your daycare provider. Some kids do really well with potty training at daycare and others struggle a lot. So it's going to be up to their comfort level and their individual personalities, as well as the daycare provider's commitment to helping your child. So talking to both your child and the daycare provider about how potty training should be managed. So telling your child who to talk to and who to ask, and then sharing with your daycare provider your child's intervals and signals and what they can look for. And all of this sort of preemptive preparation is really essential in setting your child up for success for early potty training. So useful supplies, similar to our previous list in EC. These are all things that we can have, just again, easy clothing, elastic top pants, baby t-shirts. I would have leg warmers. This is something I forgot about actually. Like we really focused on certain types of clothing that were easy to manipulate so that the diaper just wasn't like stuck under a shirt, under pants, under another shirt. So we hardly used onesies. When we did use onesies, he didn't have pants on. He had leg warmers on when he was home. But we didn't use onesies. We used shirts, pants. We hardly ever used like one-piece clothing, like a full bodysuit type of deal, because it was just challenging for what we wanted to do and what we were teaching him. And so, let's go back to the supplies. And so all of these things are really helpful to carry, especially traveling. We did a whole trip on an airplane. He was 18 months or just about 18 months old when we went on an airplane and we were doing EC traveling. And I can probably count on one hand the whole trip how many accidents we had because we were ready. We had changes of clothes. It wasn't that big of a deal for him to have an accident because we were ready for it. We had the potty seat reducer, we had a small potty, we had absorbent pads, we went to the bathroom as much as we possibly could. And so it was a really positive experience and gave us all a lot of confidence to be able to do that out in the world without any diapers. So if you have any questions at all, please reach out to me. I realize now as I'm recording this that I don't have an updated slide with my updated email address on it, but that would be perinatalkeri@gmail.com. So that's perinatalkeri@gmail.com. If you have absolutely any questions about EC, early potty training, I know this was a short and brief crash course, 3-part series. But I hope that you were able to take on some new ideas and concepts to adopt and start thinking about potty training and how it can be different and how potty training has sort of been throughout history, and give you the confidence that you can do this too, that this is something that you and your baby are both capable of. So again, reach out to me with any questions. I hope this was informative, and I am really happy to share any more information. Thank you.